Okay, this is just going to be a quick little review of this KLIM Turbofrost Max RGB laptop cooling pad, and I've got what you get in the package here in front of me. So I just want to quickly go over what you receive. You get this USB Type A to USB Type C cable. This is for charging, so you can plug in the Type A port into your laptop, and then you can plug in the Type C and into the back of the pad, so you can charge it from your laptop. It also comes with a power brick, which you can use to power it from an outlet directly if you don't want to use your laptop. And the difference between the two will just be the strength of the fan that can run up to 3000 RPM when it's powered by the outlet, versus 1800 RPMs when you power it by your laptop. In addition, you've got this paperwork, you've got this user manual, you've got some stickers and so forth inside, and a thank you letter and that sort of thing, which is pretty nice. But at the end of the day, it's not going to have much of an impact on whether or not this represents value or not. There's also this foam filter here, which is an extra one that comes with it, and a couple of other stickers and so forth. Then you get the actual cooling pad, which I have here in front of me. It's got an EVA sponge lining here so that you can lay your laptop on top of it. This was done pretty cleverly. It's got magnets here, so they sticks in place quite nice, and so it's pretty neat that they did that. I've reviewed another one in the past where it didn't have that, so nice to see that this comes with magnets, and so you can use that. This is a little piece here that if you have a smaller laptop like myself, now when they're listing it, rates this for a 15-inch to 17-inch laptop. I have a 14-inch laptop and it works perfect on this, so no issues with respect to that being an issue. In addition, you've got the cooling pad here. You've got these little hooks here which are adjustable, so I can push these down or pull them up, as you can see. So depending on the size of your laptop, some are a little bit bulkier than others, so you can adjust it. They actually come out, so when you initially receive this, you've got to put them in place. It's just a bit of an issue trying to line them up even with one another, but after a couple of minutes you'll be able to figure it out quite easily. In addition to that, this area here, this piece, actually comes out. Again, this is for smaller laptops because the air that comes out of this comes out in all directions in 360 degrees. But this is obviously geared towards those with smaller laptops like mine, so I tend to keep this in place. But again, it will work for larger laptops as well. On the front here, you've got this display panel. You've got 3 buttons, then you've got a display panel, then you've got 2 buttons. The far left button here is to turn it on and off. These 2 are for powering down and powering up the RPMs for the fan. This does not have a dial. There's one that I reviewed that has a dial that allows you to go up in increments of 100 as far as the RPMs go. This one's a little bit different. They can be, 500 increments, or like 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, up to 3,000 RPM, as I said, if you have it plugged in. So not quite that fine tuning that you may find with others. Additionally, it's got a couple of more buttons here. This is to change the colors, and then the final one on the far right is to utilize different modes. So this will have like a pulse or heartbeat. You'll have a solid color. You'll have sort of revolving colors and so forth. So lots of different RGB patterns. So if you're interested in the RGB, you're certainly going to get plenty of that here, and I will demonstrate it here. And you do have, as you can see, what goes all the way around is this light here that will allow you to enjoy that aspect of the pad. Now, a couple of other things that are important here as we take a tour of this. It's on the back here. You can see that you've got 3 USB Type A ports. You've got a USB Type-C port, and that's just an in port. So you cannot, for example, charge your phones or do much with this, but you can certainly power it up and link this up to your laptop, as I said. And then you've got the power adapter there for the port for the power. So that's about it. Now, additionally to that, if we flip it over, and so I'm just going to remove this so we don't have any issues. Okay, so if I flip this over, one of the things that you might be wondering is, can you get access to the filter? Yes, you can. You just snap this open and you can change the filter out. Additionally, this piece here, as you can see, comes out, and then they have this, essentially a bar here. And we'll just set it up so that if you drop it in, something like that, you can adjust the height. You can see there are several levels here in which you can adjust the height the way you want. I tend to keep it rather flat, but again, you do have that. And I say it's about a 45-degree angle as far as your maximum tilt, and then you can go down from there. So you have that as well if you're interested in that. So overall, a nicely built cooling pad for sure. They've done the little details right. I do really like that they were thoughtful with respect to having the magnets here, as well as the adjustment here depending on the size of your laptop, which is always useful so you don't have a one-size-fits-all. But I just wanted to go over some of the aspects of this in terms of the physical makeup of it. It is an ABS-based cooling pad. You won't be surprised to learn that. It's got some good weight to it, but certainly not overly heavy. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over some of the aspects of this and talk about the performance, because I did find some issues with respect to the performance that I thought would be quite useful in helping you determine whether or not this is going to be the right cooling pad for you. Okay, so I've got the cooling pad plugged into the power adapter that comes with it, and we're just going to go ahead and power this up, and I'm going to give you a sense of how loud this is. I did take a reading for you, so I'll mention that here, but I thought it would be good to hear it on the video to get a sense of how loud it is. But let's go ahead and power it up, and then I'll explain some of the features here. So the button on the far left will power it up, and then I'm going to start pressing the button on the right to increase the speed or the RPMs of the fan. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I've powered it up, and you can see it's pretty easy to read. It might be a little difficult to see in the video, but basically it says KLIM, and then it's got a number 2 here. This little number beside the word KLIM, it'll switch depending on the RGB mode that you're using. So if you remember which one it is, number 2, number 3, etc., it'll be easy to remember. It's got the RPMs written here, which reads 600 right now. And you'll see here that when I press the button, it doesn't go up to 700 or 800. It'll actually jump quite a bit from 600 to 1000 to 1500. 2000, 2500, to 3000. So you can hear it gets quite loud. In terms of decibels, it's actually about 80 decibels. It's about 79.5 decibels. So it is pretty loud, but not the loudest I've reviewed. There's certainly others that are quite a bit louder, but that's what you're going to get if you're putting this at the maximum level. Now, again, if you're a gamer and you've got your headphones on and so forth, it's not going to be much of an issue. But if you're in an office and you're using this, it's certainly going to disturb the people around you for sure. So this is something that's probably going to be best used if you're at home, maybe a home office. And as I said, if you're a gamer and you're playing and you've got the headphones on, you won't hear a thing. And so you can put it up as loud as you want and take and get as much out of the cooling impact as possible. Now I'm just going to quickly show you some of the RGB features with this, so we'll just go ahead and turn it on. And so right now the RGB is off, so I just press this button to turn it on. Press and hold it for a couple of seconds. You can see it's come on. And as I said, it goes around the entire cooling pad. So if I press this button on the left side between the two, it'll change the colors, which you can clearly see. And then if I go ahead and press the button on the right, I can change the nature of the RGB mode that it's in. So you can see that little change and switch up between different types of patterns here. And there are a good number of these. And as I do it, this number will change. So let me just put this down and zoom in a little bit. So this number is changing here, and I'll just move it again so you can see it happening. So it's at number 7, number 8, number 9, and so forth. So you can go ahead and change the RGB as well, so it's pretty simple to do. Now for me, that's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, my concern is the performance and how well does this cool. This does a decent job, and I'm just going to go over it point by point. So the first thing I want to point out is this is a circular fan, and it pushes out air in all directions. It's strongest on the sides, which is natural. You can clearly see there's not much happening on this side, nor is there any sort of build so that it can float up towards your laptop. Now, depending on the size of your laptop, as I said, you can remove those panels to make it wider or not. But the one thing I don't like is that there are these holes here where some of the wind goes into, and as a result it weakens some of this cooling impact. This does an okay job in terms of overall cooling. Now, they've got some claims in the listing with respect to how much your GPU and your CPU can be cooled down utilizing this. I haven't gotten those numbers. I don't know how they tested those numbers or what laptops they used, etc. But I have a Swift 14. It's an Acer Swift 14. And so I was not able to get that type of performance. I got what I would consider to be average performance, a drop of about, just so you know, I put it at 1500, and I get an average drop of about 5 to 7 degrees, which is not a lot. And again, I don't want to put it up any louder because I think that the noise becomes too much when I'm working, and it can be a bit of a disruption. So I do get about 5 to 7 degrees in terms of cooling, which is certainly better than nothing and certainly better than ambient air. But anything beyond 1500 RPMs for me, this starts to become disruptive. So just to give you a sense again of what we're talking about at 1500. It's not too bad when you're working. So for me, that's something that's reasonable. And as I said, I can get about 5 to 7 degrees. It's fine. It's certainly very helpful. But in terms of being able to get drops of 25 or 30 degrees, I did not test it at the full 3000 RPM level, because for me that's just something that's not going to ever take place. I'm just never going to have it at 3000. Even if I'm doing some AI coding and training of a model, it's not something that I'm going to have at 3000. So for me, this is about the upper limit. And as I said, I'm getting about 5 to 7. If you extrapolate that to 3000, and you're probably looking at maybe about 15 degrees, which again is pretty good performance. It's certainly going to help, and it's something that's not going to hurt. Certainly, as I said, better than ambient air. But the performance in this, with respect to this one, with respect to this cooling pad versus others that I have reviewed, this one is probably, I would put it slightly below in terms of overall cooling performance. I think the build here is nicer. I think the attention to detail here is really good. It's probably the best looking and best built cooling pad that I've had. But in terms of overall performance, again, the overall performance is just average. But this is quite a nice cooling pad nonetheless. but in terms of performance, it's just a little bit lacking as far as I'm concerned. I'm also a little bit disappointed that there are no other, you know, in late 2025, no other peripheral ports that you can use. But it is what it is, and as I said, for myself, it works fine for a 14-inch laptop. So if you're interested in this cooling pad, and you're worried about whether or not a 14-inch laptop will work, it'll work without any problems. As I said, it's worked fine for me thus far. So anyways, I thought I'd just highlight some of these things for you guys and give you a sense of how loud it is, the build quality, and just talk about the actual airflow, which, as I said, is average, and just go over some of the other aspects like the ability to tilt it and so forth. So anyways, this has been a quick little review of this KLIM Turbofrost Max RGB laptop cooling pad, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.
Esta es la base, tiene toda esta espuma aquí debajo y ahí está el ventilador, que puedes regular desde aquí. Sopla muchísimo y luego desde aquí ya puedes gestionar el tema de los colores. Esto es una barbaridad, pero efectivamente está muy canalizado hacia abajo, y entonces este es un NON-16 que tiene bastante bien con la disipación del calor y recuperación, pero es que todo con la espuma esta hace que se quede bastante bien recogido por debajo del ordenador. Arrancas, ponemos al mínimo. Este es el mínimo y no se oye prácticamente nada. Pena que el ordenador no tenga el RGB, aunque es un NON 16, pero eso ya es una cuestión de HP que engaña a los clientes y usuarios que compran un ordenador de 1.600 euros y luego les da la mitad de lo que pone en el anuncio. Pero bueno, la base está muy bien. Tiene un alimentador propio que va con jack y luego después tienes algunas tomas por detrás también. Vamos a ver si le voy a dar la vuelta. A ver, aquí. Ahí. ¿Se ven los USBs? Hay un tipo C y 3 USBs. Tipo A. Todos de 3.2. Así que desde ahí también puedes alimentar cosas y si conectas desde ahí a todo tu ordenador, pues esos también te sirven de hub para luego dejar ahí conectados los periféricos y demás. O sea que está muy bien. 80 o 90 euros creo que costaba. Es un poco mucho. Pero si eres gamer y te gusta tener el ordenador bien refrigerado, no es mala opción. Sabes que ahí a la mitad más o menos de las revoluciones es un ruido asumible, incluso con la gráfica que una 5070 tiene pues te puede refrescar bastante. Está bien.